No bounce back. No bounce back, says the Bank of Canada. We're fucked if tariffs come in. It's bad for Canada. Bad, bad, bad.
Trump's tariffs aren't a trade tactic. This is economic warfare aimed at reshaping global trade, and Canada is about to get steamrolled. For weeks now, we've had Trudeau's cabinet ministers stumbling over their words, pretending they have no clue what Trump's up to with these tariffs. And the media? Well, half of them are running around with this absurd idea that Trump has no grand plan, that he's just winging it with a vanity project. But don't be fooled. The man literally has an entire strategy laid out in black and white. Have you ever heard of Stephen Mirren? Probably not, because our media refuses to cover anything that doesn't fit their narrative. This guy isn't some random talking head. He's a Harvard-trained economist, a former senior advisor to the US Treasury, and now Trump's nominee for the Council of Economic Advisors. And he's written a whole blueprint explaining how Trump plans to use these tariffs as a weapon, and not just against Canada, but to reshape the entire global economic system. How, you ask? America has a trade report that's been tabled in Congress every year since the Clinton administration. It lists all of the countries alphabetically and the specific protectionist measures that they're using to restrict US trade access. Now, we'll just focus on Canada. This list has been very consistent over the last 30 years. Americans do not like our supply management agreement, which limits agriculture and food production. They hate the Broadcast Act, our Telecom Act, and they really don't like our protectionism in the banking sector, all because these limit American access to our economy. And what did Trump say on his call with Trudeau the other day when he granted us this 30-day extension? He said, let's talk about banking and telecom. So the door has already been opened. Mirren spells it out quite clearly.
So basically what this guy is saying is that if you think Trump's a goof, okay, and you think that he is just flexing his muscles and being a dumbass, you couldn't be more wrong.
Of Iraq.
Wrong.
That is absolutely
wrong.
Proved over and over again.
Wrong.
He actually had
That he is playing 5D chess. He's got a whole plan.
I got a plan. This is a good one.
He has played this out with his advisors, and he is doing exactly what he was planning on doing. And he's got these guys here who seem to be fairly well educated, fairly well experienced, advising him on what to do.
Thinks that it has been too generous for decades, letting other countries enjoy easy access to its market while they put up barriers to American businesses. They believe the system has hollowed out the American manufacturing industry and overvalued the US dollar, making it harder for them to compete globally. So this is Trump's ultimate plan. He's taking this list, sorting the allies from the adversaries, and strategically wielding tariffs to reshape global trade. The enemies will be isolated through economic pressure and other means. As for his so-called allies, tariffs will be used as leverage to crack open their protectionist policies and force open their markets to American businesses. And this isn't just about trade. Like I said, this is about constructing a new global economic order.
So basically, I think what he is talking about and what's going on, and it's evident here in Canada, is that the state seems to, open its market up to everybody, and most other countries have ways of keeping the United States out of their countries. So, for example, the banking system in Canada, there are no U.S. banks here. I don't care about that list that went around that had 12 U.S. banks here. Those are not banks, okay? There should be U.S. banks on every single corner across from every Canadian bank in the entire country. And there isn't. And that just doesn't seem right, at least from the United States perspective.
That ain't right.
And then if we start talking about stuff like milk and dairy and lumber and all that shit, well, from their perspective, they're like, you guys are fucking us. Enough's enough. We just want, like Trump said, we want reciprocity. We want equalization. We want it to be fair, right? We don't want everybody fucking us all the time.
They're fucking us!
And they're not only going to use the military like these past empires, they're going to use raw economic power to strong-arm the world into submission. It's essentially globalism 2.0 built to serve America first. And guess what? Canada is at the front line. We've had decades of privileged access to the US market, and now Trump is saying exactly that. That was a privilege, not a right. So we're about to get hit pretty hard. Big banks are warning of a 3+% drop in our GDP, which will fall somewhere between $80 billion and $100 billion annually. And while some estimates expect Canada to lose 200,000 jobs, Doug Ford is out here warning that Ontario could lose over 500,000 alone. And while he may be indulging in hyperbole, it's clear that the economy and Canadians will suffer. So what's the plan? Well, let's put the border solutions aside because we know they're only part of the short-term equation. When these tariffs return, the Liberal Party wants to go toe-to-toe with Trump, a dollar-for-dollar tariff war, which he's promised will only result in more tariffs. And if we're being logical about this, he's the elephant and we're the ant. We don't survive this fight. As for how they want to bolster the economy, leaders like Trudeau and even Doug Ford are spouting off about pandemic-style bailouts. Literally, the last thing we need to do is continue printing money and running deficits that will take generations to fix.
See, that's what I was talking about yesterday. And I thought that I had heard that numerous times, that it was like it. So the government wants to do a COVID-style bailout. They want to pump liquidity into the market any which way they can.
Please, God, no.
Don't worry, you're going to be fine. We're here for you. Get ready. And the Bank of Canada is saying it's not going to be the same kind of response as COVID, okay? We just can't do that. So I don't know what the is going to happen. I don't know what the fuck's going on, quite honestly.
I got no idea.
I think everything that this guy says makes a lot of sense, right? Does anybody not think that this makes a lot of sense?
So here's the bottom line. Canada is asleep at the wheel while the US is rewriting the global economic rules. And we can't just afford to sit by and hope that it gets better or print money to buy our way out of this. We need leadership that will stand up for Canadians, fight for our industries, leverage our natural resources, diversify our trading partners, and stop selling us out at every turn. Otherwise, we're about to get generationally steamrolled.
Generationally steamrolled, okay? Exactly. And this is what I was saying before. It's like, why don't we just reroute everything, make new trade agreements, change things, do things different? Hello? Hello? Anybody home? What the f is going on?